All right, so everyone, it's Kelvin, J-Start, Jumpstart Your Japan Career. We have Matt here today, and we're gonna start with SLT. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't. I mean, you just kind of explained it before, but
It's
listen.
subscribe, like, turn the notification if you haven't already. And Matt's been here for about 20 years?
Yeah.
Matt,
I moved here 20 years ago. It's been 18 years in Japan. 1 year I lived in Thailand, 1 year I lived in China. So
oh wow.
yeah.
So, I mean, Matt's one of the rare people I've known that's around my age who's been in Japan longer than I have. And we've known each other since 2013. Matt joined a company called N-World, which is a recruitment agency here in Japan. And I joined a year after. I've known him since 2013. So we have, Matt has plenty of stories to share. And before we go into the story, make sure to download the book, a free ebook I put together for you. It's called 3 Ways to Land Your First Japan Job. And it just, upon 3 weeks of release, hit the 1,400, or to be specific, 1,392 downloads. So don't forget to get it. It's down in the comments, pinned as the first one. And having that said, let's go right into your story, Matt.
All right.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you and where are you from? When did you come to Japan and why?
All right. Once again, my name is Matt. I'm originally from Australia. I was there till I was 18 years old. The reason why I moved to Japan originally was because I was selected to be the 1 year exchange student at the time. I went to a very local school in Kumamoto, which is the south part of Japan. So yeah, talk about immersion. No one spoke English. I had to survive, which really pushed my Japanese level for sure. And then after being in Japan for 1 year, I was supposed to go back to Australia for university.
What year was this when you went to Kumamoto?
That was 2004.
2004, okay.
Yeah. So it was, right now, if you go to Kumamoto, there's this huge, bear called Kumamon where you see everywhere. It's super famous. None of that. It was like spot the foreigner. I stood out a lot. Yeah. So my intention was to just do 1 year, go back to Australia and start my university in Australia. But while I was in Japan, I thought, I wonder if I can do university in Japan.
Well, why did you think like you would want to do university here?
Well, I wanted to learn Japanese more, and I'm like, why am I going back to Australia to learn Japanese? Doesn't make sense. So during my summer holidays at the time, I looked at a couple of campuses. I ended up choosing a university called ICU, International Christian University in Tokyo. Beautiful campus in Tokyo. There's bilingual courses. I'm like, this could be fantastic. And so I applied, I got in. Then that's when my journey really started. At least 4 years was the plan at the time. The third year of university, I went to China actually, so to do a little bit of Chinese language study there, but then came back to Japan. And then during my third year, people started thinking about, okay, can we find a job in Japan? And I wasn't sure at the time.
Before you go into that, what was it about Japan that made you want to learn Japanese, stay longer?
Well, to be honest, I think the reason why I wanted to learn Japanese was my high school in Australia had a Japanese language program, which I wasn't using my Japanese language at the time. So just really to be like, learn a bit more, see why my skills can be utilized in the country that I've been studying about for such a long time. And then I ended up really loving how I felt when I spoke in another language, thinking about others and how they think, and being part of, I guess, I was 18, 19 years old, growing up with people and, experiencing my young adult life here.
Right.
And that just kind of got me rooted down, I think.
Interesting. And then back to your college story. So this was your junior year, and then you wanted to, you thought about finding a job in Japan.
Yes, that's right. So maybe some of you may or may not know, a lot of the companies in Japan, they start mass starting in April. So in order for me to hit that deadline, I had to line up a company, find a company that's going to at least show interest because I needed a work visa.
One thing was I think so. Japanese companies, the big ones in Japan, usually follow a hiring cycle for new grads. So for a certain period of time, they'll be hosting these events, what they call setsumekai in Japanese, where companies borrow some sort of a stage or venue, and they're basically talking about what's it like to work there, the perks, the culture, why people should be coming here to work, things like that. And then what's the cycle after that? So there's a Setsumekai cycle, and then
Yep. And then after that, there could be interview rounds where you can actually apply, talk with the people in the company, and it goes from there. But basically, if you miss the timing, you have to wait a whole nother year before it all starts again. So it was very difficult because I was graduating in, they followed the American system as well as the Japanese system in my university. So there were two timings where people used to graduate, and I was on the American system, which didn't match. Yeah.
So for those of you who haven't gone to school in Japan, the regular school cycle, it finishes, the year end comes in March?
March, yeah.
Right, yeah. So March, and then for new grads, you're generally expected to start working on April 1st.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, time was really of the essence because I had my visa issue as well. You know, if I can't be on a student visa. So it was very complicated. What I ended up doing was I went to a career forum actually, and it was a space where they were looking for bilingual talent. And I just sat.
What's the name of the forum?
It was called the Tokyo Career Forum.
I'm actually going there this Saturday.
Are you?
To interview people.
There you go.
But this is gold information for people just coming straight out of college who want to find a job in Japan. So go on, yeah.
Absolutely. The famous one is, well, at the time, it was the Boston Career Forum.
The biggest one, yep.
There were people in my university who used to fly especially to Boston so they could pump out their whole job hunting process within like a week or two. And get a job offer. So if you're in the area, I recommend doing that because
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the normal hiring cycle, it goes up, spreads out throughout the whole year, right? Versus you can get everything done if you're lucky in just a matter of 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
How efficient is that? And how less stressful is that? So if you have the chance, you have to go. But tell us about your experience at Tokyo Career Forum.
So there were a couple of companies, they have booths set up so you can sit down. It's almost like they explain to you about the company, answer any questions you may have about what you're thinking. And then you have the opportunity to give your direksho, which is like a resume, but it's basically very simplified, like start, stop, education. If you have any certifications like language, driving, whatever it is, it's not a very detailed resume, but you put a photo on there, you give it to them, and that's basically, well, in my case, I gave them my direksho and just waited to hear back from them. They didn't do interviews on the spot on that time.
One question, how good was your Japanese at this time?
I was comfortable, like I could do daily conversation. One thing that I was quite worried about was, can I survive in a company setting?
When you say daily conversation, how good was your writing?
Writing, I studied very hard. I could say that I could probably read about, I don't know, at least 80%.
80%, that's pretty impressive. Yeah. Did you have a JLPT?
I had JLPT 2.
2, okay.
Yes.
At that time, there wasn't no N2, right? It was just 2.
Correct, that's right.
Okay, gotcha,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, which I think really helped,
yeah.
At least for that company. It was actually the first time. So long story short, I got the job.
Yeah. What kind of company was this?
So this company, it's a very, very domestic Japanese company. They are called, well, the group is Nippon Ham Group, and they literally, you can find their products in any supermarket.
It's like a household name. Pretty much,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
They've got the ham, they've got the Western sausages, and my job was to help find these farms in Australia, New Zealand, negotiate with them, and import the meat into Japan. So that was my first job. And the reason why they found me attractive was because I could speak native English. And I think it was the first time they decided to hire
a non-Japanese person.
Yeah,
so you're the first non-Japanese person in the history of the famous Nippon ham?
I think there was maybe a couple
Well,
of
before
Chinese.
we continue, let me get your autograph. Let me get your autograph hanging on the wall. Hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
I'm just going back, taking a step back. You said, how many companies did you interview with at the career forum?
At the career forum,
Or how many companies did you apply for?
total, I think I didn't do it a lot. There was maybe 5.
5, okay. And out of the 5, how many interviews?
I think it was only 2 or 3.
2 or
It
3?
was it wasn't crazy.
And did you apply to companies outside of the career forum? Or were you doing it in parallel?
I did in the career forum as well as outside as well. Yeah, online.
And how many companies did you apply online?
I think it was only a couple. I didn't really.
When I say outside of career forum, is not through a career forum portal, but
Yeah.
as a general job search process, were you also applying to different companies, or the timeline didn't match?
Yeah, so there were. Yeah, it was hard when I went to the website. It'd be like finished, come back next year type thing. So that was also a huge hurdle.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're basically focusing on the career forum to get the job.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then out of the 3, how many offers did you get?
I only got the one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it
Yeah,
was a
just the one.
simple. It was a simple decision, yes or no.
Exactly. Yeah.
Were you applying for gaishike? Gaishike is a common term in Japanese people use here to refer to foreign capital-based companies. So generally, gaishike means Western, American, or European. But did you apply to any gaishike companies at the time?
I did. I was applying to those companies, but I just found as I was speaking to these people, I'm like, I'm not interested in your line of work. Like, there were some financial companies. I'm like, that's not me. But some of the Japanese companies were doing trade. I was being able to have that link with Australia as well as Japan at the same time.
Right.
And to me, that was a lot more attractive. So I'm like, I didn't think about Japanese, non-Japanese company. I thought about what was interesting to me.
Okay. And you made the decision to join Nippon Ham.
Yep.
And what was your role there?